See now, part 2 of the big Tesla Is It Hit or Shit test. And if you haven't seen part 1 yet, click on the video on top right. This episode will find answers to the final subjects: autopilot on the highway, charging, costs and charging speed. And besides all rationality, how's the fun factor? Can it keep up with petrol cars in acceleration? Get finally the supercharger voucher in this video. What's the conclusion after 4 intensive days with the Tesla Model S 90D? See all this now.
Now let's get to the main aspect of that Tesla concept. I don't want to get prepared a half an hour if I drive somewhere. So now my question to Andreas is, what if I want to drive to some closer target around Munich, Regensburg. Regensburg is about 130 kilometers, and we want to meet some friends at the cinema. And I want to get there. Now, Andreas,
be so nice and show me how it is with these superchargers. We want to charge in between even if we still have 247 kilometers of rest range, so we could easily get there, but we don't want to wait till the very last minute, so we'll charge in between target, cinema in Regensburg. We can let the navigation search the cinema there, and he's searching. In the next moment, you can see the superchargers on the way there, marked with a red pinpoint. And here's our target. Yeah. And again a red pinpoint that marks the supercharger, and that's our target in Regensburg. And we would pass by this supercharger, actually. In Schweitenkirchen. Yes, in Schweitenkirchen. But with our actual range, we could arrive in Regensburg without charging, with still another 23% rest range. Okay, so we could even drive around there in Regensburg easily. Definitely. And special about it is that Tesla, or the navigation, tells you even if you could get back to where you started with your actual range. So, in our case, Munich. But he says, in that case, minus 13%. Means we couldn't come back. Exactly. Yeah, this is the most important info for you to know. So why not on the way there? Yeah, it's practical because very often you might drive shorter distances and then maybe you don't know if you can get back, and then the car tells you, for example, yes, you can even face the way back with the actual range. Actually, we have, on that way from Munich east to Regensburg, 2 superchargers. I can see 2 of them, right? Right. Means, even if we had a really low range, we could charge somewhere on the way there, or in Munich, or here.
So the whole Tesla network is covered. That means that independently from where you want to go, you always have a supercharger, and the superchargers are not random positioned. It's always about 80 and 150 kilometers in between. So you can always get from one supercharger to the other. Even if you drive from, let me say, from Munich to London, you always have everywhere in Europe the superchargers everywhere, so you don't have to be afraid. So if I now said we want to drive to London, we could easily do that. Of course, we needed to stop several times as it's about 1,600 kilometers, but now we drive to Regensburg. It's quite stiff on the road, so I wouldn't say that I feel like in a big family limousine. And now let's accelerate. Oh, yeah. This is quite interesting. I've never tested a car where I was driving 140 kilometers an hour and I didn't need to raise my voice because you can't hear anything, just the tires on the road. Now 120 speed limit, so this is the perfect moment for trying the autopilot on the Autobahn. I haven't done that before, so I haven't tried it yet, and this is what I'm going to be doing now. So let's give it a try. 120, let's say it's 120. Okay, it's been done. So as you can see, my hands are off the steering wheel. Even my feet, this is something that you might not see now, maybe on that camera. I have no foot on the gas pedal or on the brake, no hands on the steering wheel. And we're driving 109 kilometers an hour now because we've got some traffic and the people in front of us are driving that speed and it adapts itself. And on that screen, I can see the Tesla scanning the car driving in front of us and adapting itself, and it even scans the car in front of this car. Quite practical and a gain of security. And that automatic driving is something what I have got to get used to.
You have to touch the steering wheel for a second.
Yeah, he just Andreas told me that the Tesla asked me to touch the steering wheel, the same like in the city where we were driving, that he wants to know that I'm still awake. But now I can take my hands off the steering wheel again for about...
How much time does pass between two nodes to touch it, the steering wheel? It does it random, no special time. Okay, he does it random like he wants. Yeah.
And I can see on the display the car scanning even the cars on the left lane. And now the traffic goes slower. So this is something now that me personally, so I think when you're driving at longer distances like 500, 600 kilometers, and sometimes you have to drive at night, it might be really relaxing compared to regular driving where you always have to keep concentrated on the traffic. What does he do? What does he do? And this is a gain of security. Now the question is how much time you lose at the supercharger. But independently from that, how much time you lose, you still have a huge gain of life quality with being a lot more relaxed, arriving a lot more relaxed at home or at your business meeting or wherever you want to go, because you didn't have to be focused so much on the road and on the traffic. And as you can see, I have to touch the steering wheel again just to make sure I'm awake, and it's really relaxing. So I don't even have to watch the street. I do it just because I don't trust anyone but myself. But it's really reliable. Can you see that? It adapts the speed. Wow, I really have to say wow. I think we haven't come so far today to be that autopilot driving, but this car shows that we are ready. But the problem is that no one offers that, you know, and that shows how much forward Tesla is with that. Can you see that? We were just a bit confused now because we don't trust it 100%, but we shall, because can you see what happened now? They led the traffic from the right part of the Autobahn to the left. It's totally reliable. I wasn't sure if it really is able to see that marks on the street that's normally white, but they now changed it into yellow, and he did it and I didn't have to do anything. So that's really impressive to me, I have to be honest.
A question, Andreas. The navigation tells me that we have to drive in the direction Berlin, Nuremberg, Deggendorf, but the car doesn't drive the way like the navigation tells it. It just drives straight on, so driving the exits I have to do on my own. Yes, you have to do this.
Nice trees over there. I have to be honest, nice trees. There's a new Audi. You know the scene from The Fast and the Furious? Paul Walker, rest in peace, and is driving and he wants to scare her and he's always watching her eyes while he's driving 140 kilometers an hour. So quite not realistic, but with a Tesla you could do that scene in an upcoming version of Fast and Furious, because I can watch him and but he's not scared because he knows that the autopilot does the work. It's amazing. So I can't really believe how fantastic this is. I feel like a grandpa who's been confronted the first time with a smartphone or something like that. So it's wow, really thumbs up for that development that Tesla did. So we're driving autopilot still, and I want to change the lane.
When I'd like to change the lane, he does it by only using the indicator, right? Yeah. Like this it works, but you have to touch the steering wheel for a second.
So he has to know that I'm still awake. And now he changes the lane. Look at that. Look at that. Jesus Christ. I still have to deactivate the indicator. But now we change the lane. And I want to change the lane again. And I'm doing it, and we've got someone driving behind us. I have to touch the steering wheel just to make sure that I'm awake. And now he does it because he can see that there is enough space to get in front of that car driving behind us. It's really fantastic. It's amazing. We just right now left the Autobahn for getting to the supercharger, and Andreas will show you now how that works.
Well, you have to tip on the pinpoint, and by the way, you can see that one is just charging right now. So there's an overview of how many superchargers are being used at the moment, and here's 7 free of 8 chargers, so 7 available and 1 is charging. And then the car navigates us there. And as we can see, it's mostly really close to the highways. Yeah, yes it is, so it's a really good strategy. And that means that we'll definitely see another Tesla driver there. Yes, we will. Shall I take one of those? No, you can also take one of these over there, as we have more parking space there. Exactly. Now you have to do reverse parking. Reverse parking? Yeah. Okay, I can see the green marking. Okay, like that. Look here. Go backwards a bit, still a bit. Stop. Is there now anything left to be done before we get out of the car? No. There is. You have to show us. Yes, I know. No, I set this for the video. Now it's okay. Just show that with the charging cap. Alright, okay. By clicking here once you can check your battery status. And you have here a charging cap opening button. Like a normal fuel filler cap, yeah. And here you can open it, but we also can open it from the outside, and this is what we're going to show now with the charging, don't we?
Absolutely. Now 4 minutes to 2, and I want to see how much time it takes. Let's get it started.
By pushing this on the charger pipe, it opens the charging cap automatically. So the charging cap is hidden in the backlight. Well, that's practical. This is it.
You have an app on your cell phone, and this app shows you how far you have got with the charging.
We drank a coffee, had a soft drink and went to the toilet. Meanwhile, we could follow the battery status on Andy's cell phone. It charged 106 kilometers in 15 minutes. Now, here comes one of the important issues, the costs. Well, what's the price for that kind of charging fun that we did? So these 106 kilometers, more range within these 15 minutes. If we needed to pay, what we don't as I have free supercharging forever, you calculate as follows. We have charged with more than 60 kilowatts per hour. If you charge with less power, you pay less. But in that case, that would have said 34 cents per minute. So for us, this would have been €5.10. So €5.10. And if we now convert this to the diesel price, so 106 kilometers for €1.15 per liter, that diesel would need to consume 4.3 or 4.4 liters to get to the same result with €5.10 for 106 kilometers. There are cars with that low fuel consumption, but none of them has 422 horsepower. Exactly, and that's what makes the difference. Now it's your chance. You have planned to buy a Tesla, you'll have lots of fun with it, but superchargers aren't for free anymore from May 2017. If you, nevertheless, want to use a supercharger for free for a lifetime, leave Charge Me Carmania in the comment box or write me a mail by the end of October and I'll draw 5 of you guys and give you a voucher code for your free supercharger forever and €1,000 off your Tesla order. And now, the time has come to see the truth about the acceleration. Especially Tesla drivers claim that there's nothing being faster than their Teslas. And for that, we're going to find the evidence with the GPS measuring tool. A straight Autobahn accelerating from 0, and it's not just the 0 to 100, it's even the 0 to 200 what I want to see. So, let's get it started. Well, 4.5 seconds from 0 to 100 and 18.3 from 0 to 200 means it's as fast as a 420 horsepower Audi S7.
You don't feel that you're driving something. You can't feel a difference of driving a big, fast limousine like S-Class, E-Class, 7 Series or whatever, or an electro car. It's the same driving behavior, and I'm just hitting the gas. Look at that, how we're accelerating. 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. Yeah, so it feels stable, it's not nervous. The steering wheel doesn't vibrate a bit, you can't feel it, it's just like standing. So that technology behind that car is really overwhelming. No, this is something what you shouldn't be doing. Autopilot, fine. As you can see, really reliable technology. I've been using it now for the past 20 kilometers, but this should never invite you to take your eyes off the street for more than 2 seconds, because it's still technology, and you know, it's better for your safety and for the safety of your family to have a bit more attention. It's nice to have a relaxed driving, but that shouldn't invite you to fall asleep or to read a book or to use your smartphone or whatever. Bear that in mind. Again, like at the beginning of this video, I have to limit myself because I have so much positive to say that I'm going to be concentrated now on the main and most important things. Starting with the design. It doesn't have to hide itself behind the other premium class limousines, and the same with the space. As a driver, you feel comfortable. You don't have any kind of problems to the left, to the right. Even my head has enough space with that beautiful sunroof, and the passengers on the back seats, especially caused by the fact that you have a borderless floor design. So you have even more legroom than you actually have. And this is an advantage to any other car that has a center console here or a center tunnel because of the transmission. Additionally to the space comes the boot load, so the trunk load, and that means you have about 900 liters of trunk load, and this is incomparable. I think it's the biggest in its class. So family trips, no problem. Then a big advantage in my eyes is the software-based possibility for the updates. You have always upcoming updates that brings you new functions. Meanwhile, while we were recording that video, at the beginning of the video, so the first day, the Autopilot, for example, was limited to 50 kilometers an hour in a city and 130 on the Autobahn. Now with the software update that Andy got in his car, meanwhile, this went up to 100 kilometers city and up-road and 150 kilometers an hour on the Autobahn. So you don't have it in any other car. If you don't buy an option, you don't have it. But here you can get it with the software updates. Then when we're talking about the Autopilot, I can get more in detail with that. It's another evidence that the automobile industry doesn't tell the truth, because they always say that we haven't come so far yet for that autopilot driving, but I mean Tesla proves definitely the opposite. So it doesn't matter where you are on the Autobahn in the city, you can use it, and it gives you totally new life driving balance. If you're exhausted, if you have a long trip behind you, or if you just don't want to drive, you can do it with the Autopilot, and this is a huge advantage, and no other car offers you that package. That shows how much future already now is possible, and Elon Musk proves it. Then the cost aspect. I can't really tell you that exact how much less cost you have with a Tesla, because it always depends on where you live. what the petrol and diesel price is, price for electricity, but altogether in the topic, I could say it's about 35–40% that you pay less when driving a Tesla. Of course, depending on what you drive. If you drive an RS6 or E-Class Mercedes AMG or M5 BMW, of course the difference is going to be bigger, as these cars have a higher fuel consumption. So it's about 35 to 40, maybe 45% less costs that you have, depending on which car you drive. If you have a Tesla from before 2017, you have the superchargers for free, and until May 2017. And then if you order it now, you have to pay for the superchargers. In Germany it's 35 or 34 cents per minute, so about 20 euros for 400 kilometers of range. But you can see this is something that you just can't battle with any other, even not with the diesel car that has a fuel consumption average of 6 liters. The service costs is also a part of the cost aspect, as you don't have to change the brake pads. Like in any other car, you don't have to use the brakes that often, and that's a huge help, of course, when you have the service. So each 25,000 kilometers, and you don't even have to do anything, because brake pads, you haven't used them, no engine oil, actually nothing really. So this is again something where you have to see that we spend hundreds of euros on our cars with each service after each 30,000 kilometers in a modern car. Then the battery. I read so many tests and could see so many tests with haters behind the steering wheel who complained about the battery, about the range, about the battery as itself. If you get rid of it, that you're polluting the environment, because what can you do with the battery when you get rid of it? I can tell you they should have done better research because the batteries get used again in household use for running solar systems, for example. So even if you don't use your battery anymore in the car, they use it for something else. And that's again something what somehow de-stresses the environment. So don't believe that criticism about that battery thing. Just like the range, where they drive it and they say, well, after 350 kilometers I have to do a 40-minute break. So don't believe these haters, and I'm a petrol head. You can believe the words that I say, truly. And so the battery and the range is, of course, there is some possibility to modify, but I think after 5 or 10 years this is going to be something totally different. The range is going to be 800 kilometers instead of 400. It just takes some time, and I think it's even worth an applause already now that Elon Musk has come so far nowadays, where every other car maker from the automobile industry can't keep up with that technology. And you have 8 years of warranty on the batteries, and specialists say that they think a battery in a Tesla might last for about 15 to 20 years. But even if it's 15, it's more than enough in my eyes, because really nowadays who drives a car more than 15 years? So come on, let's be honest. And last but not least, the driving performance. So if you want to play around on the Autobahn, you can do it confidently, and you don't have to be scared of getting messed up by anyone else, because that power, that immediate power, look at that, I'm just hitting the gas and it accelerates. It's incomparable, because that immediate power is not comparable to any other car. 4.5 seconds from 0 to 100, what we measured via GPS, without launch control, because this car doesn't have and doesn't need launch control. And if you need more, you can get the ludicrous or the P100D with 772 horsepower, accelerating in less than 3 seconds. So what other car can you tell me that accelerates that fast, offering that much space, having the family on the back seats, battling the Ferraris at the green light? So it's just amazing with the air ride. So the air suspension that you can lower, you can higher, depending on how you need it. So that car totally flashed me, totally convinced me, and I just can recommend you to get yourself a Tesla for a week, and you don't have to buy it immediately, just test it, because that life quality and that amazing feeling of accelerating like that is giving you so much back with the Autopilot, with everything that I mentioned now as advantages, that the only thing that you have to live with is that you don't have an engine sound. And now some last words at the end of that video about the disadvantages. I have discovered some little disadvantages, and I have to tell them, because otherwise you might think that Tesla paid me for this test because I'm saying so many positive things about it. One thing that I've discovered is the leather seat. So the driver's seat has some waves in the leather because it's not, I think it's not stiff enough, and sitting on it makes it wavy. But this is something what they definitely change if you go there and complain about it. And another little thing is that you don't have really so much storage space here in the doors, so it's just a little thing, and you can definitely live with that. And I think the only people who wouldn't be happy with the Tesla are businessmen who have to rush from one city to the other, like, let me say, Munich, Berlin, where you have 600 kilometers and they have to do it in time. So they have got just, you know, they have 5 hours to get there, and this is something what's now not possible with the Tesla. But this is again what I say, look how agile this car is with the all-wheel drive. Amazing how it feels. Take a look at that. That makes so much fun. That's amazing, man, really. So I can recommend it. Just the businessmen who have to rush from one city to the other in time, for those people this car might not be the perfect car, and I think not so many of you are in that situation, being these people who have to get from one city to the other in time. So but I just wanted to say it because of course the Tesla is not perfect for everyone. The biggest disadvantage now, of course, what I haven't said, is the price. 120,000 euros for this one, easily going up to 180,000 euros if you buy a P100D with the ludicrous power mode. Of course, that's a huge amount of money, what the majority of the people can't afford themselves. So maybe you have to wait for the Tesla Model 3. If your wallet isn't that big, wait for the Tesla Model 3, and this will be the biggest revolution on the car market, I can promise you. Because it's a middle-class segmented car that gives you all the advantages of this one, but without the price. And let's wait for it, and you will see how much panic the other premium class or even other car makers will have, because it's going to be changing everything. And I hope so. I hope so for Elon Musk, who had that vision, who took every financial risk, billions of dollars, and still made it. So he deserves it. This is what I think. And this is Carmania with a really special test in my eyes. I'm really grateful that Andy made it possible. Thank you very much. Vielen Dank, Andy, for these 4 days of driving that beautiful car. And please subscribe, don't forget it, and forward that video to everyone that you know, to make that magical revolution even bigger than it is now, because the people have to meet that concept of Elon Musk just to see and just to experience how fantastic it is.